it's Kristen and Bethany with Girldefined Ministries, and in today's vlog, we're going to be sharing with you 5 powerful truths for overcoming secret sins. Over the months of running Girldefined, we've received hundreds, if not thousands, of emails from girls.
This is the Christian Lifestyle YouTube channel and podcast started by sisters Bethany Beal and Kristen Clark. The content revolves around mainstream topics from an evangelical Christian perspective, often related to purity culture. They gained attention in 2018 with a video by Cody Coe and Noel Miller, and somehow the world in just 5 years got more insane, giving more opportunity for shills and businessmen to take advantage of heightened fear, influencing poor decisions amongst the general public. In the realm of persuasion and influence, magicians don't just captivate audiences with illusions on stage, they also wield a set of psychological tools that extend far beyond the boundaries of the magician's hat. Beyond the enchanting world of rabbits and disappearing acts lies a subtle yet powerful mastery of persuasion techniques, including pace and lead, diametric opposites, and manipulation of biological imperatives. This intriguing blend of psychology and showmanship not only fascinates audiences but holds valuable lessons for understanding how individuals can be swayed to make decisions, be it purchasing a product or joining a particular group. Magicians, in their quest to mesmerize and entertain, employ the technique of pace and lead. This method involves establishing rapport by aligning with the audience's current state of mind, only to skillfully guide them towards a new perspective or desired action. Much like a magician seamlessly transitions from one illusion to the other, the art of persuasion involves smoothly leading individuals from their initial beliefs or thoughts to a destination crafted by the persuader. This is girl-defined, feigning relations with their audience, building trust, assuming the form of the unsuspecting victim's daily surroundings. Diametric opposites, a concept deeply embedded in the magician's repertoire, is the strategic use of contrasting elements to heighten impact and create a memorable experience. Just as a magician juxtaposes the light and darkness, reality and illusion, persuaders leverage diametric opposites to create cognitive dissonance that stimulates thought and encourages individuals to reevaluate their perspectives. Understanding how magicians seamlessly integrate these opposites can provide insight into the subtle art of steering perceptions for persuasive purposes. Delving further into the magician's toolkit, the manipulation of biological imperatives emerges as a powerful force. By tapping into the primal instincts and fundamental human needs, magicians craft experiences that resonate on a deep, visceral level. In the realm of persuasion, this technique involves connecting with individuals on a biological level, appealing to their most basic desires and instincts to elicit the desired response. Unraveling the secrets behind these manipulations allows for a deeper understanding of how individuals can be compelled to act in ways that align with the persuader's objectives. Former girl-defined intern here. I've always been very open on my social media about the fact that I used to work for Girldefined, and it's one of my greatest regrets in life. It took a lot of reading and absorbing religious deconstruction content for me to start healing, and as much as snarking helps to validate my growth away from the culture of shame and guilt, my heart still hurts for those stuck within the whirlwind of questioning and feeling like you can never do anything right. I see Bethany's posts about sexual sin and brokenness and think about how I was guilted into apologizing to my parents for things that literally had nothing to do with them. I see Kristen's podcasts about starting a family and how it felt so fearful I would never be enough for a man or healthy enough to have babies because of my disabilities. I think about being raised in a household that preached conservative and traditional marriage, almost to the point of dehumanizing anyone who didn't share our same views. It hurts to think that there will be more young people caught up in purity culture, modesty mentality, and fundamental literalism, to the point where they devalue anyone who disagrees with them, but also devalue themselves for not truly feeling like they belong. I've come a long way from my girl-defined days, but it still haunts me. Everything they post is a reminder of how I felt, and how I know young people will continue to feel, unless they find freedom in religious deconstruction. What is up, guys? Welcome to our first video of 2024, and today we are looking into an act called Girl-defined. Now, girldefined, they've been around for quite a long time. They've been around from as early as 2018. Now, you might recognise these two women because they went viral in that time, particularly for their cringe involving purity culture surrounding their Christian evangelical perspective. And to my surprise, they're still going. They seem like these people that were around and they just drifted off to the wayside, but no, time repeats itself and cycles just keep on circling on, and we're back. As we can see here, their channel is almost active. It's been active in the past year. They've uploaded 5 days ago. But this video here, this seems quite intriguing. They want us shut down, but we're not going anywhere.
Was a recent comment that we got on the Girl Defined Show podcast. This hateful rhetoric shouldn't be allowed to be published anywhere. Girl Defined should be ashamed of themselves for attempting to set humankind back in time to conform to made-up beliefs based off of a fictional book about a magical sky wizard.
Unfortunately, comments like this are kind of irregular for us because as our culture shifts further and further away from God's design, away from his word, we come under regular fire for our biblically...
To me, everyone is constantly bringing up how cringe they are, and there's a part of this that sort of very much irks me. It's the way that people seem like these guys are mindless, that, you know, they're all doing it out of some sort of stupidity. But let me remind you that stupidity is the highest form of evil. But not only that, is that we have these two people here, and in all their videos, it seems like, I don't know, it seems like they are twins. I don't know if they were, I don't know if they are biological twins. I have no idea. It doesn't, I don't know. And there's quite a lot of things that we have to uncover here, and it only gets more and more sinister. As we see these two echoing and bouncing off of each other like two peas in a pod, it seems very scripted, very planned out, and I sincerely believe that there is some nefarious behaviour behind all of this.
Rooted beliefs in things like identity, gender, sexuality, womanhood, what it means to be a man and a woman. But here at Girl Defined, we are committed to standing on the truth of God's word because we know that the only true hope is the gospel hope.
Getting to share the true gospel hope with women and really helping them know, like, the only one who can define them is the one who designed them. And we do that through our weekly podcast, through our YouTube channel, through social media. And it is such a passion of ours to reach these women because there are so many voices online saying, hey, like, believe your truth. You just need to look within. And we want to be a voice saying, hey, no, there is someone who designed you. He loves you. He has a true identity for you. Turn to him. And we're so passionate about continuing to be that voice.
We are committed to the biblical discipleship of women everywhere.
Do you think, like, between each cut, or after they just stop recording this, that they just stop and they just go, yep, we got him? I don't know, in the modern day and age, it seems that there's a high market in manipulating people's very base level biological imperative and desires, and attaching yourself to that. There's a popular phrase that everyone knows, and that is sex sells. And as that is at the core of everyone's biological being, unless you're asexual, then they can grip you, they can have you, especially young women here who are already confused in the world, and then you come in and you latch yourself onto the biblios, you latch yourself onto the biblical structure, and then you use the biblical structure to curate an environment for your audience to fall into, and thus inevitably giving you money or paying for some stupid course, or even donating in their sweat equity by engaging in your stupid content and sharing it to other people to laugh at you, thus spreading you even further like a rash.
Everywhere, but we can't do this alone. We need your prayers and support, and as this year comes to a close, we are asking you to consider partnering with us as a ministry, linking arms to help us continue doing the work that we're doing into the new year. Our goal this year is $30,000, and whether you can give $1, $5, $100, or $5,000, we see every single donation that comes into our nonprofit here at Girl Defined, and it encourages us and it helps push the message of God-defined womanhood forward. So would you consider, as this year comes to a close, giving a donation to Girl Defined? To make a tax-deductible donation of any size, just go to girldefined.com/donate. That's girldefined.com/donate. Thank you guys so much.
I don't know if you just saw that, but I just wanted to look past the magician's misdirection here. Now, this is what I think they are. I don't think they're godful people. I think they're witches. But we have fun here, don't we? Anyways, me looking at that, I'm just seeing past her talking, and I want you to pay attention to, I believe it's Bethany Beal on the other side here. Let me go back here. Now look, as she mentions donating, right? As she mentions donations, you see this almost chuckle.
$1, $5, $100, or $5,000. We see every single donation that comes into our nonprofit here at Girl Defined, and it encourages us and it helps push the message. We need your prayers and support, and as this year comes to a close, we are asking you to consider partnering with us as a ministry, linking arms to help us continue doing the work that we're doing into the new year. Our goal this year is $30,000, and whether you can give $1, $5, $100, or $5,000, we see every single donation that comes into our nonprofit here at Girl Defined, and it encourages us and it helps push the message of God-defined womanhood forward. So would you consider, as this year comes to a close, giving a donation to Girl Defined?
If you just focus your attention on the one who isn't talking, then you kind of see the mask slip through, because you can see the eyes don't lie. The eyes don't lie.
To make a tax-deductible donation of any size, just go to girldefined.com/donate. That's girldefined.com/donate. Thank you guys so much.
So they've started a non-profit ministry, whatever you want to call it, over there. And when you start a non-profit religious organization, you don't get taxed the same way normal things and normal businesses do. So here we have them asking for donations, which somehow play into the church tax system thing over there, where they have to meet a certain tax quota, something. And a lot of churches, they do this through their tithing, and they have a donation goal to do this. But their donation goal far exceeds normality when it comes to this. And they are asking for $30,000. But before we get into that, let's just take a roundhouse trip right back to the start. And let's go back to a few of these things that made a name for Girl Defined. This one is called 5 Powerful Truths for Overcoming Sins.
Hey, it's Kristen and Bethany with Girl Defined Ministries, and in today's vlog, we're going to be sharing with you 5 powerful truths for overcoming secret sins. Over the months of running Girl Defined, we've received hundreds, if not thousands, of emails from girls just like you, emailing us and saying, hey, I struggle with this sin. Nobody knows.
So this is the thing. It's so high quality. It's been high quality, high production. And it's been like, and it seems like that they've rehearsed a script. It seems like they're even reading off teleprompt, or they've got their lines memorized, or between cuts. You know, it seems very organized. It seems very high budget, and it doesn't seem like it's gone from a dingy, and it doesn't seem like it's gone through the same hicks and get-ups that normal content creators go through. You sort of see, in usual content creators, you see that there's a development of them getting better or getting worse, or you know here there's no shift. They've stayed completely the same. Just a little thing to take note of.
I think I'm the only girl that struggles with this. Literally, we get dozens and dozens of these emails on a weekly basis of girls just wanting help, thinking that they're the only ones struggling, and they don't want to tell anyone. They don't want anyone to know, but in their heart, they want help. And we want you to know that if you are one of those girls, first, you're not alone. We are getting emails all the time, and that's why we're creating this video. So we want to help you find freedom from your secret sins. So let's jump in with 5 powerful truths for overcoming secret sins. Powerful truth number 1 that we want to share is this: sin must be put to death in order to find freedom. I think a lot of times we think, oh, I can kind of have this sin under the radar, no one knows about it, and then at the same time I can have this vibrant life as a...
If I recall from the Bible, wasn't it Jesus that overturned the tables because he found out because he found out that the churches were fiending for money? I don't know. Is that I don't know. Is is then asking for donations. That's I guess that's part of tithing or whatever they call it. I guess that's fine. But then moving on to create a course which you sell about sex, when I don't know, isn't there supposed to be a bit more discrepancy around all that kind of stuff in Christianity? I don't know. It seems like, again, latching. It seems like an amalgamation, a latching of all these aesthetics, all these religious aesthetics, and we just see some clever business people using the guise of religious freedom. I don't know. Just be careful out there. Yeah? Just be careful out there.
Christian, I can have an awesome relationship with God. I can walk in freedom and just kind of like keep my sin over here. But when we look at God's word, we see that God is a holy God. He is a just God, and he won't allow us to live daily in sin without repenting from that ongoing sin and find freedom at the same time. If we want to find true and lasting freedom, we have to put to death any ongoing sins that we have and confess those. And powerful truth number 2, your secret sin must be brought to light. I want to share a verse with you from Proverbs 28:13, which says, "Whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses them and forsakes them will obtain mercy." This verse is basically like a guidebook on how we can find freedom from our sin. Just like Kristen said, if we are concealing our sin, it's going to be very hard to find freedom from it.
So sign up to our course today and tell us about all your secret sins, and we'll help you. It only costs $49.99 a month. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Well, I guess we found out how they sleep at night. Promoting godly manhood in the midst of toxic masculinity. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Bethany and Kristen here. Thanks so much for joining us today on this very random weather.
See, she's got an Apple Watch. And this is 4 years ago. She's got an Apple Watch, a rose-colored Apple Watch. They've got the whole set going on. They've got the cameras. They've got the lighting. They've got like the boom mics. This probably isn't their house. It's probably a set that they've just bought. You know what I mean? They probably just hired this out. Where are they getting the money for this? Where are they getting the funding? Who's planning this? Who's putting this all together? Huh? I see ya.
All the random things come up, but my husband's a big Twitter guy. Like, he loves Twitter, and he was on there and he saw some tweet about something about like masculinity or manhood, and it was really negative. And he's like, man, and so he just brought up this conversation like, hey, what do you think about masculinity, manhood? And we started talking, and he's like, as a guy who's really striving to do the right thing, it's really hard for me when I see these tweets and I see these comments and I hear these things that are very, very negative about manhood. And he's like, it's
all the normal men who are just striving to do the right thing, comment down below.
And it's so clearly we can see in society a response to the evil that men have caused, and that is a reality that we have to acknowledge. And it is so sad, and so much of that is coming from people who have been hurt by men who are using their strength and their leadership and using themselves in evil ways against other people. And so that's one side of it, and it's really sad, and we have to acknowledge that. That's awful. And it is awful. It's terrible. It's sin, and like,
it's awful. Yeah, no. Men running rampant. It's terrible. Make it stop.
Toxic masculinity is the problem. Manhood is the problem. But really, like, as biblical, Bible-believing Christians, we need to dig deeper than that and say, okay, what's really the problem here? Is masculinity the problem? Is manhood a problem? Do we need to get rid of that? And are men the problem? I don't think it is. I think it's...
I'm gonna predict their solution. Their solution will be that more men need to read the Bible or something.
Men are the problem. Men are the issue. Let's get rid of men, masculinity. Kind of a blanket statement overall, in general, and get rid of them, because that's not really the problem. What we need to do is say, yes, there is a problem over here. The sin is the problem, but what about God's good design for masculinity? And what about the men who are genuinely striving to honor God, who are genuinely like honoring women and respecting women and seeking to like cherish women and protect them? There are so many women.
So you have to realize that all of this is conjecture. All of this is made up. All of this is just stories and anecdotes. Coming up with phrases like God's masculinity, godhood, godly manhood, and all this kind of stuff. Like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? You can't, like, they're trying to come up with a definition for toxic masculinity. But what is godly manhood by their design? It's just waffle.
of masculinity, and how can we like encourage and champion men in that. And so in 1 Peter, if I can get my Bible here, in 1 Peter, there is a verse that gives us a little clue. There's a lot of verses about what God calls men to, and I think it's so important that we know what God calls men to so we can actually promote that. But 1 Peter 3:7a says, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman. And I think that's so important. God isn't calling men to be these powerhouses, controlling, ruling, forget the woman. No, he's saying, live with your wife in an understanding way, understanding each other, the differences, seeking to understand.
That's just one verse from the Bible. I don't know if these guys have ever just tried to read the Bible from front to back. In the Bible, it says women aren't permitted to teach. It says women aren't permitted to teach. Let me get my facts right. So here we go. And this isn't even in the Old Testament as well. This is in 1 Timothy. And it says, I permit no woman to teach or have authority over men. She is to keep silent. I do not allow them to teach or to have authority over men. They must keep quiet. That's what it says. That's not me. That's just not. So this is the thing when you have these organizations basically use scripture for money. You have them go into one section, pull it out because it aligns with what they're talking about. You have another section, you put it out, but without revealing the whole context of the chapter. They've just taken a little bit out and said, oh, see, it says we've got to honor women and that's why it's good. And this is a 10-minute video and give us your money. Stop letting it happen. 6 guys you shouldn't date or marry. So here we go. This is, we've got your witches, your magicians, we've got them here, and they're gonna crawl in, and they're gonna tell you who not to date, and they're gonna tell you who not to have sex with, and they're gonna tell you how to live your life, thus affecting your biological imperative, so they can tell you more stories, and get away with it. In their non-profit organization, where they've made over $40,000 just in this year from donations. So,
Hey girls, it's Kristen and Bethany here with Girldefined Ministries, and
why is it 360p? Why is it 360p and they're clearly filming with a camera that maybe they're not as professional as I thought.
in today's vlog, we want to share with you 6 guys you shouldn't date, court, or marry. But there are also a lot that are just not quite so awesome, just in their journey of life and spiritual journey, not quite where they need to be. And I have learned, we both have.
What was that? Spiritual journey?
Learned, from back in the old days, back when you were young, and before you met and married Zach. You've been in relationships. Yeah. I have been in relationships, and I realized that there are certain types of guys that I do not want to date, court, or marry. And we want to tell you about these 6 guys that you shouldn't date, court, or marry. Okay, so guy number 1 that you shouldn't date, court, or marry is this: Mr. Talk. Mr. Talk is also known as Mr. Smooth.
Mr. Talk's my best mate. He's actually really good. I like Mr. Talk. I don't. Why would you tell them not to date my best mate, Mr. Talk? Otherwise known as Mr. Smooth.
Marry is this: Mr. Talk. Mr. Talk is also known as Mr. Smooth. He's the guy that can say he can talk the talk, but he might not necessarily be walking the walk. So for example, he might say, yeah, I love the Lord. I love going to church. I love getting involved. I love reading my Bible. But behind the scenes, he isn't actually really doing those things. He's not consistently going to church, and he's not consistently reading his Bible. Another example might be, he might say, I value purity. I love what God's word says about purity. I'm on board. I'm all about it. But then in the relationship, he's the one constantly, subtly tempting you to compromise, or he's compromising himself. So Mr. Talk is the guy that can say all the right things, but he isn't actually living the life to back it up. And talk is...
Which is why you should pay for our course and our Patreon and buy our stuff and listen to us, because we can tell you how to avoid Mr. Talk and Mr... It's a paper maker. They're using the scripture as a paper maker. That's what they're doing. And I feel sorry for people that have fallen so deep into this and they let people just come up with stuff. Because when you're in it, it's very difficult to see that people are just saying things just to say things. Especially things that get you to spend your hard-earned cash.
cheap. If you're just giving talk but you're not putting the action behind it, then you need to be very, very cautious of a guy like that. And guy number 2 is Mr. Anger. This is the guy that gets like set off by really small things. It might just be like, driving in a car and someone just barely comes in his other lane and he gets like blows up and gets really mad, or you say something like, hey, what about this? And then he's like, oh, why do you want to do that? It's a guy that just does not have control of his temper, does not have control over his tongue and his mouth and what he's thinking. And it just, like a volcano, blows up. And I would caution you, be very, very careful with a guy like that. We have known some like that, and I personally would never date, court, or marry a Mr. Anger, and I would encourage you not to either.
So there you go, another manipulation of biological imperative. If you've got any stern boyfriend that, perhaps doesn't appreciate what these guys are feeding you or feeding their partner, and they say, hey, stop watching Girl Defined, stop watching them. And then they're going to be like, oh, you're Mr. Anger. You're being Mr. Anger, and I need to break up with you. That's what's going to happen. And then they're going to be like, oh, now I'm all alone. I'm going to spend my money on this Girl Defined sex course.
And guy number 3 that you definitely shouldn't date, court, or marry is Mr. Struggle. Now, we all have our struggles in life, right? But we're talking about here with Mr. Struggle is a guy who's struggling with big things. And he always says, I'm trying. I'll do better next time. I promise I'm going to overcome this sin. I promise I'm going to get better in this area. But as his track record continues, he never actually overcomes those struggles. So for example, maybe pornography, maybe irresponsible spending, maybe just not getting places on time ever, or really managing the relationships in his life or his responsibilities very well. He's just always struggling, but always telling you that he's going to do better, that he's going to get over it. So we highly caution you with a guy that's really struggling, because if you're the only accountability partner in this guy's life, if he's saying, I'm struggling, but I'm going to get over it, can you just help me? You need to help me. That is not a good setup. This guy, if he's serious about overcoming his sin, he's going to make the steps and take the steps to go find an older, godlier man in his church who can hold him accountable and really get serious about helping him overcome his struggles. So we caution you, be very careful with a guy who is always struggling but never overcoming them.
Yeah, so if you've got someone that's struggling, if you've got a boyfriend that's struggling, just leave them by the wayside. Just let them go and just dust them off. Let God handle it.
And number 4 is Mr. Obsessed. And now I've been around guys who are like pretty much obsessed with me. They are, I'm basically like the most important thing in their entire world. And you know what? Honestly, it is kind of flattering. Yeah. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's who doesn't like a guy giving you like so much attention and just basically treating you like you're the queen of the entire world. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And of course, it's not wrong to be loved and cherished, but we're talking about a guy who is literally obsessed with you. Like you are even more important than God. You basically, as the girl, become the God of his life. And that is an idol. That is totally out of order. God needs to be the most important person in his life. So if you are around,
God's a person. So there you go. It's getting even more digging their claws, or their nails, should I say, even deeper into your sexual lifestyle, your very base desires once more. And I just want to hammer this home. Don't let people do that. Don't let people. To be honest, you have no control. You have no control. People are doing it all around you. These business people, these businessmen, these companies, these non-profit organizations, they all have an air of business psychology that has gone into them. And then again, that phrase, sex sells. And that's what they're trying to sell you a course. They're selling you a course, and they're doing that by making you confused and then trying to find the answer. It's this first they're putting something in your head, like, oh, my boyfriend is kind of obsessed. Oh, me and my boyfriend died. Oh, he's struggling a lot. Oh, my boyfriend is, also, oh yeah, he likes me a bit too much. It's kind of like he likes me more than he likes God. And then whilst you're in the bedroom, and then all that is running through your brain and running through your mind, it just leaves you in a state of confusion. Which people like Girl Defined can capitalize on. They might play this stupid act. They might play this silly little role, but behind it is some really, really nefarious acts of using not only religion, but also focusing in on a demographic that is for young, maybe even middle-aged, older women that are actually struggling deeply with their own sexual identity. And and then to come in there and just with your ministry, be like, yeah, we've got the answers. Come. That sounds like an idol to me.
A Mr. Obsessed, and you can tell that you are the most important person in his life, I would really caution you, because this is someone that I would not date, court, or marry, despite how flattering it may seem. So I would just encourage you to be very careful around a Mr. Obsessed. And guy number 5 is Mr. Pressure. Mr. Pressure is the guy who is always putting pressure on you to do things that maybe you know you shouldn't do.
Pressure pushing down on me, pushing down on you, no matter what.
He doesn't care as much about honoring God and pushing you closer to the Lord. So we highly caution you against dating, courting, or even marrying a Mr. Pressure. And guy number 6 is Mr. Unsaved. Now, this is the type of guy. He's cute. He's
Mr. Unsaved. Jeez, man. Jeez.
gentlemanly, he's nice, he charming, brings you gifts. He is just like the package deal. Except one problem. He's not a Christian. He is Mr. Unsaved. And now, girls, I don't care how cute he is. I don't care if he is literally like the hottest thing.
Save him. Save him. Save him. That's what you should do. Raise him up.
That you've ever seen in your entire life, with the best muscles, whatever it is, you are just like dropping dead in his presence. If he is not a Christian, the Bible makes it very clear that you should not marry him. So this is not like a, well, maybe, but he's really nice. But what if he comes to church with me? No. If this guy is not a Christian, if he is a Mr. Unsaved, there is no compromising here. This is an automatic no. And the Bible makes that very, very clear. So Mr. Unsaved is someone that you should never, under any circumstance.
Provide the evidence. Provide the evidence, though. Just show us the verse where it says that. You can't. This is the thing. They just say it. They'll just say something. They'll give you a little tidbit. They'll give you a little bit of amalgamation. A little bit of something you know here. A little bit of something you know there. And then you can't do this here. You can't do that here. We're building relationship with you. We're building a relationship with you. And then at the very end of the year, we need $30,000. That's.
So there you have it, the 6 guys that we want to really caution you against dating, courting, or marrying.
Thanks. One more. How to be single and satisfied at the same time. I'm getting so many BetterHelp adverts. Is YouTube trying to tell me something?
Hey, it's Bethany with Girl Defined Ministries, and today...
Hey, Bethany. Oh, it's Bethany just on her ones. Just on her solo. Right, let's see how Bethany fares by herself.
I am going to be talking about how to be single and satisfied at the same time. So we're just gonna have some really fun single girl talk. And I actually kicked Kristen out today because she's not single. Only single girls around for this conversation. So I just want to keep it really personal.
And this is, I think, how old is this? 6 years. This is 6 years old. Since then, I believe Bethany has found a man, which we will be getting into later on. I'm very excited to get into this other perspective of this other guy. This other guy over here just doing what he wants.
And share with you, like heart to heart, almost if we were at one of my favorite coffee shops here in San Antonio, chatting, talking, and just sharing our hearts as single girls. Because I get it, I'm single, and there are a lot of thoughts and things that go through our minds. Like, okay, can I ever be totally satisfied as a single? Will this always be really difficult? Is there like a magical age?
So this is the thing, right? It's like, you have this set, you have this lighting, it's so professional. That means that there has to be some other people behind the back door here, and I want to know who those people are. I'm gonna look into the production team, and I want to find out some gems.
Where you get to, and then it's not as hard. I've had a lot of thoughts like that in my mind, and that's why I want to talk about this with you today, because as single girls, we have a lot of questions and a lot of thoughts running through our minds on this topic. So I actually get a lot of emails from probably many of you directed towards me as the single girl in Girl Defined, and they say, hey, like, I'm a lot younger than you, and I'm really dissatisfied in my singleness, and I know you're older than me. Like, I don't know how you do it. Do you just not really desire marriage that much? Like, how did you come to this point where you seem really joyful? Because I'm miserable, and I don't want to be single for as long as you, so what do I do? And a lot of times I'll look at that, and in my heart I'll kind of think, like, I remember there being a time in my own life where I was where you girls were. I remember there being a time in my early 20s where I felt really dissatisfied.
That's the target audience. Young, 20-year-old girls that they're gonna get. They're gonna latch onto you, and then they're gonna sell you a course. So that's the pipeline. It's the pipeline, but they've jumped. Where usual businesses, they have to start from scratch, and they have to start with a logo. They have to start with brand deals. They have to start with getting promotion out there. They have to, whatever. If you want to start, if you want to start a cult, right? You want to start a religious organization. You can skip a few steps. You can skip a few because you don't then need to figure out your brand identity, because you can just cherry pick what you want from religious scripture, or you can maybe put a Bible in the background of your shop. You can start to say that you're part of a ministry. You can take all these little things. You can jump a few steps on the line of creating a business and starting a business. And then another thing that you can skip as well, your target audience. You instantly know who your target audience is. And then a final thing, which makes it even more profitable, which why people are just, they'll just give them money. They'll give these people money. It's because when you start a non-profit religious organization, it's attached to centuries of people heavily investing their lives, their family. They're surrounded by these scriptures. They're surrounded by these proverbs. They're surrounded by going to church. They're surrounded by their family going to church. They're surrounded by normal people going to church. They're surrounded by all these people that are saying, it's creating a 360 environment. It's creating architecture of, I'll just stop.
Is a single, and I honestly place so much of my identity and worth in wanting to be in a relationship that I was pretty miserable with the thought of not being married. And if you had asked me like, hey Bethany, if you are 28 and single, how do you think you'd feel? I probably would have been like, oh, worst day ever. Like, I did not like that idea. I did not want to be 28 and single.
It can flip-flop, if you're a single lady, I'm single, I'm 28 and single. But if you're experiencing boyfriend trouble, don't date Mr. Pushy. Don't date Mr. Obsessed. They've got you in both pockets. Again, expanding their audience. Their audience footfall.
Or are you going to take that desire and say, yes, this is still a desire, but I'm going to trust in the Lord with all my heart, not lean on my own understanding of what I think I need, but just trust that he will direct my paths. Those are the two options. You can either go down the one and be miserable, like I used to be, wanting marriage, or you can go down the other, still have that desire in your heart, but live in joyfulness and contentment because you're trusting the Lord of all the universe with that desire. Thank you so much for watching this video.
Two paths. There's always two paths. Two paths, two girls. Christine Kirky something, and then Bethany Bulls. Interesting. Twins. Part of GD. Oh, there's bloopers. Oh, wait, there's bloopers. Yes, we finally get to see the human side, hopefully.
For the bloopers, you're over there. We can't see you. Say something. Hello.
It seems a bit fake. It seems that's the thing. It seems so constructed, and they've got a book. Yeah, they've got a book. They've got a book as well to sell you. So what an epic saga that was. Getting a blast from the past from these two lovely ladies, and now we get the scope of what they're about, what they believe, what they say. Interestingly enough, a lot of it was focused on being single, not dating, and not having sex, and not doing this kind of stuff. So we skip a few years, and now people are getting annoyed at Bethany for actually oversharing her relationship with someone called Dave. So now we're all caught up on Girl Defined and who they were and what they used to do and why they're so famous. Let's get into a bit more of their personal details. So, exploring the community posts and really delving in and uncovering more information about these two sisters, you see that there are a lot of complaints that after so long of complaining about being single and not having a husband, and promoting singleness as being a good way to live, now Bethany is married to one Dave. And this relationship is surrounded by rumours, but I don't really want to get into the rumours right now. I feel like I just want to show you guys who they are together. So let's get into this.
Haircut plays a huge part in our relationship, though.
It sure does.
When you got a haircut, that's when I first started noticing you.
This type of haircut did not win me any special situations. While dating, there were just certain conversations that would have been a lot more like, oh, that's scary. You know, I don't want to talk about that. But now we have trust first and foremost. And so sharing different views is fine.
I loved my late night days.
Oh, you can see whoever's made this. Oh my gosh. Oh man. And why is his name spelt like that in the title? That's interesting.
I loved my late night days back in high school.
Well, that was a while ago. Yeah, this has been a long time coming.
Please, someone save this man, David. Please, I feel you can see his eyes. He's so sad. Oh, I've got no words. I've got no words for him.
29 years, and this is the first time this happened. That's right. That's right. It's a
That's
big deal.
true. I've never had one of these.
2 grande mochas decaf. We have a category called gifts for others we could pull it from.
Oh, how much is in there?
$40. We just bought our coffee with money for other people.
Gifts for others given to us.
We had barely any money in our coffee budget, but we still had money in our gifts for others budget. What's the silliest?
Wait, what was that? They just spent $40 on coffee. Was that? Sorry, I need to reload that one. $40 on coffee in this economy.
That's right. It's a
That's
big deal.
true. I've never had one of these.
2 grande mochas decaf. We have a category called gifts for others we could pull it from.
Oh, how much is in there?
$40. We just bought our coffee with money for other people.
Gifts for others given to us.
We had barely any money in our coffee budget, but we still had money in our gifts for others budget. What's the silly?
Oh, so budgeting. They're really like this high middle class budgeting. Budgeting's good. Everyone should learn how to budget and probably take notes from that. I should probably take notes from that. I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to knock that at all. Budgeting. Get on it.
Silliest story that you can remember from our first 15 months.
When you pass gas.
Oh, wow. So
When he accidentally in front of
I
me.
said, I know she doesn't like making the bed because she does.
How embarrassing. I feel so sorry for my man. Look at him. He's just trying to get by. He's just trying to get by doing his normal stuff, being a normal guy. And he's making what a good guy. He makes the bed. He buys the coffee. Come on, what a good guy.
Whose idea was this?
Mostly ours.
Mostly yours.
We talked about this on our very first date. Do you remember that?
Our first date?
Just how we both would enjoy something like this. Like things we had in common. Like, oh, we love you too. We'd love to do something like that. Remember?
I was saying yes to everything that day.
Actually, I did write a blog on this. I'll link to it below.
What did you say in the blog, just so that I don't contradict us?
Reasons why David Beal would...
What did you say in the blog, just so that I don't contradict us?
So, an embarrassing moment happened for David, and we have Bethany write it down on her blog that he's passed gas and he didn't realise. And they're taking precautions to basically follow each other's story and narrative, which I think that is quite interesting from David. It's almost like maybe he knows that they have to keep up these false pretenses.
Reasons why David Beal would never like me. 1, I'm older. 2, I'm taller. 3, I'm too strong. 4, he's not attractive. 5, I'm too old. Yes, I said that again. 6, he likes my sister.
What? What is like? I don't know how marriages go. I haven't really been to many weddings, but if like that, those are like some hard hitting truths to really say. Like, but okay, I feel bad for him, man. I feel so bad for him. Let's get a replay on that one, just so you can properly hear what she said.
Reasons why David Beal would never like me. 1, I'm older. 2, I'm taller. 3, I'm too strong. 4, he's not attractive. 5, I'm too old. Yes, I said that again. 6, he likes my sister. 7.
So today we're going to share with you exactly like what we're doing, the practical things
on how we're getting to know each other.
Basically, inside here, we got a bunch of stuff that, books we're going through and a little legal pad to figure out how to not do that again.
Oh man, I feel bad. I feel like he's got to the point where it's like there's probably so many contradictions happening in their dysfunctional relationship that he has to keep note of these things when they happen, so he can just bring it up and be like, actually, please, this is genuinely what happened. I've got evidence now. Don't gaslight me. Ah, poor David. But we have to look at Dave and, his own skill sets. What does Dave want to do? And it looks like Dave wants to live his theatre kid dreams and just perform, man. So let's take a look at this. He's pretty good. And it seems that he's got the acting chops on him. I feel like one of his main inspirations is one Jim Carrey, which we have an example of here. Let me know if you see the similarities.
It's been brought to my attention. Some of you are very interested whether or not I appreciate Bethany's red lipstick. So I think it's time we set the record straight. I love it so much. You don't even know. You don't know how much. But beauty's on the inside, right, girls? And just listen to what she says. It's true. I listen to what she says. I'm a guy. But seriously, I really like this girl.
Can we get respect in the chat for Dave, man? So we have even more insight into their relationship. We have this whole Barbie movie debacle in which I believe that Bethany and Dave went to see the film together, and apparently they both saw completely differing things. So let's go into this community post which details these politics and debates that they had. Girl-defined podcast recap. Barbie is a boring feminist, in which Dave and Bethany talk about the movie from, apparently, different planets. The podcast begins with David singing I'm Just Ken with gusto. Bethany falls all over herself, making disclaimers about how she didn't care about going to see it at all, but everybody was talking about it, so she felt she had to go. Dave says the tone of the movie is satirical and ironic, which he actually enjoyed. He uses the word delightful. He got the concept of Weird Barbie and says Kate McKinnon was probably his favourite part of the film. Bethany interjects and nudges him to get to the point, because apparently he's sounding like he appreciated things about it. We're 7 minutes in and he hasn't even mentioned Ken or the patriarchy or feminism or any of that type of stuff. Bethany now takes over. She says it's not a Christian movie and it's not trying to be a Christian movie, so don't expect it to have Christian values. She calls this podcast a cultural conversation and says the topic is exploding, so they want to be a part of that conversation. Dave says he isn't sure what he wants to be, but she talks over him. Bethany oh, bless him. Bless Dave. Dave enjoyed the self-aware intellectual aspect, his word, but he didn't find it convincingly sincere. He says if you wanted a simple, sincere fairy tale, Disney princess type of story, it wasn't trying to be that. Bethany interrupts with a loud boo, Barbie, boo. Dave uses the word existential and says he appreciated the way that the story moved in a self-discovery direction. And he thought it was interesting that the movie explored the tropes and stereotypes about the patriarchy, flipping it on its head and flipping it back. He liked that exploration. Well, that seems like a very intellectual view of the movie from Dave. Fair enough. Also, he liked the musical numbers. Of course he did. Bethany decides it's her turn and tries to make a point about Ken being the best part and Ken stealing the show, which basically boils down to she thinks Ken was hilarious and Barbie was too serious. And Ken never took himself too seriously, which Barbie and all the women did. Dave doesn't really agree with Bethany and starts talking about Ken's story arc. He says Ken gets his sense of self from the gaze of Barbie until Ken flips it and tries to put himself at the top. Dave says both ends of the spectrum, oppressed and oppressor, are extreme in different ways. And he likes seeing that explored. He likes seeing Ken find his own identity aside from seeking the attention of Barbie. Now he moves on to talking about Barbie's sense of self. Barbie's sense of self is based on a certain set of expectations she's supposed to perform. But Dave says the film tries to show that you're more than a role. You're more than your reflected sense of self. And at the end of the movie, he thinks one of the best things was that Barbie still isn't sure who she is. And he says power, like Ken's misguided attempts at patriarchy, isn't self. Barbie's creator isn't going to tell her who to be. She has to reflect and decide that herself. Dave loves this shit. I bet he does. We're 25 minutes in and Dave has nearly done all the talking and still hasn't said anything that you'd expect to be hearing based on the podcast title. He likes the themes of realizing you have a reflected sense of self that's based on your performance and how others react to that performance. He says, as a Christian, I wouldn't stop there, but I'm not getting the impression at all that he came on this podcast to rag the movie, which Bethany obviously did, which Bethany is not getting the chance to do thus far, because without Kristen driving the conversation, she's kind of lost in space. Now that's interesting. That's an interesting observation. Now though, it's Bethany's turn again. Bethany thinks the Barbie movie ends with the very popular belief that she is enough. To Bethany, it's really sad that the movie is telling girls that they are enough. What is that rooted in? She asks indignantly. Referencing Ali B. Stuckley's book, she starts spluttering like a robot with this line about you are enough being a bad belief to have. Interesting. She's trying to steer the topic back to whether or not the movie was bashing men. Dave says Barbie's men weren't meant to be deeply developed characters, but the men playing the characters did such a great job that it's not bashing men. Because the men in the movie weren't real men. He thinks the message overall was positive because the movie was pretty meta. Bethany does not agree, but doesn't even show what she's disagreeing with. She says the male characters were hilarious and delivered much needed sense of humour, while the female characters were also serious and took themselves so seriously. These are feminist talking points, she says. They have to be told how unhappy they are. But Dave says, in real life, people sometimes do experience cognitive dissonance and wake up and see clearly. But he doesn't think that the movie was trying to sort of show how woke it was by making fun of the Will Ferrell character who claims to be woke but isn't. Bethany thought the movie was going to be jokey, and she got mad when so many of the main characters were like so bitter and angry and the movie told her things that were so serious because, and I quote, why does everything have to be so 2020 like 2023? I mean, so 2020. Like, talking points from right now. It's just like ridiculous and over the top, she says. She seems to think that the views expressed through the movie are just a fad and will be outdated in a few years. She sounds very irritated and says she was falling asleep and the movie was boring and it made her feel like the movie was telling her, if you don't think this way, you're stuck under old ways of thinking. And she was irritated that there was no romance between Barbie and Ken because so many women enjoy romance and not everyone wants to be an individual, so it's ridiculous. Dave says the movie never said all men are like this, and both agree that the main characters in the movie were doofuses. He's fine with it. He starts to talk about how actually in real life women are outperforming men in a number of areas and some men are having a crisis of identity. He acknowledges the existence of men groups / movements who just automatically take the opposite position of anything feminism says, both in the nice guy way, he says, as well as the alpha wannabe jerk version. Now that's a very intellectual observation from Dave. He seems like he's got his brains. Bethany has no effing idea what her husband is talking about, so immediately shifts defensively back to her previous GD interview with someone named Nancy Parsi and the toxic war on men, and how all women are saying masculinity is the problem. Basically, she likes it better when men are praised and affirmed, and women pretend they aren't experiencing what they're experiencing. Wrapping up, Bethany says she liked the humorous parts of the movie, but found the movie boring and it was just so serious. Why was Barbie crying? Dave says because she was having an existential crisis, but Bethany keeps rapidly babbling on about how nothing can just be fun anymore, and she mocks female oppression. Snidely says the movie cashed in on this fake oppression, in brackets. Oh my god, pot, kettle, purity culture cashing in, what? Another astute observation there from the curator of this Reddit post. And says it's like 2020 again. Goes full steam ahead about some point she's trying to make about how nobody wants to be an ordinary Barbie, but we can just be ordinary Barbie. And I guess she's really mad at the actresses for not being ordinary? I don't even know. She thinks it's a very bad message to tell all those young girls. Whatever she thinks that message is, I don't know. It ends with Bethany giving the movie a generous rating of 3 for entertainment and a -0 for whether she'd recommend it. Dave laughs and says he's already given a rating with his words. I don't know how these two can live in the same house. I really don't. Dave seems like he's a very intellectual man. The fact that he didn't even have to give the rating of the movie, or the fact that he didn't give the rating of the movie and he was very observant, like he has been throughout this, and aware, to basically be like, look, I've said my thoughts on the movie, and he knows if he gave it a 10 or gave it a 9 or gave it an 8 or whatever, that would just cause some issues. I feel like I can tell that would definitely cause some issues in the relationship. Why did you rate Barbie a 9 and I rated it a 3? All that kind of stuff. So that's an update on Bethany and Dave's relationship. Quite interesting stuff. And overall does give us an insight of the personality of the parties of the two girls. And now making this video and uncovering more, it seemed as though Girl Defined aren't really the brains behind their whole operation. And I feel like a lot of people can sort of see this. And it seems that they are the face of a tool which is just trying to suck up your money. So every year, it appears that Girl-Defined Ministries tries to tithe, or whatever they call it, and basically get a bunch of tax-free donations. But it seems here that they want the whole cake. They want to scrape their audience for every bit of money that they can. So they've asked for just a tiny amount, just a measly $30,000 from their audience, which only within a few months they made $14,000. And now I can assume that they've definitely surpassed their $30,000 goal, which is absolutely insane that they get away with this. I feel like maybe there are people that fall for this, and which is why this video has to be made. A way that they might have actually accumulated $30,000 is that when you go to donate, they have a set of fixed donation options here. You can obviously pick other, but here the donation options are really high. $50 US, $100 US, or $300 US to support Girl-Defined Ministries. Now, tailing off on this, the Girl-Defined Instagram account employed tactics such as using a bot, an Instagram comment bot, to basically reply to everyone to say, check your DMs and please donate, and it's really weird. So let's see. I guess in the acts where Paul set out to make tents and sell them instead of asking blah 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 blah, you guys interpreted that as asking for 30k Christmas money to be donated to you. According to the previous reports I've seen, this isn't ministry funding, it's lifestyle funding. Since Bethany has made over 100k this year alone, her wage is really just a bonus at this stage. Then it's got, check your DMs, Merry Christmas. It's like, I want a DM. You gotta wind up and call the donate bot over. And then the account says, Merry Christmas, donate bot, check your DMs. Donate to Planned Parenthood. Check your DMs for the link. It's clear that they've employed a bot that every time someone mentions donate or donation, that it says DMs, check your DMs, the link, donation link, and that's probably how they've gotten away with grafting so much money. And well, you know, all good things or terrible things or all things in general must come to an end. And thus, Girl Defined's comments were limited, and the bot was essentially banned. So, well done, community, well done. You did it. When I started making this video, I thought that this would go in a regular direction for this channel. I thought it would be far more tongue-in-cheek, a bit more light-hearted, and then I started doing more and more research, and a few things really stuck out to me where it really didn't feel right. There's so many things surrounding Girl Defined which seem so manufactured, seem like a ruse, a guise, and it seems almost like there's some sinister workings on behind the scenes. Not accusing Girl Defined of being totally evil, however it feels like that they've got some form of handlers. But what I've discovered here inevitably changed the direction of the whole video. This secret seems to just be scratching the surface of the terror that lies at the bed of Girl Defined. This is Michael Mershon, the eldest Baird child, who took to Reddit to reveal his side of the story while being a part of this clearly dysfunctional family. And I can only imagine how hard it must have been growing up when you have your whole family presenting themselves as arbiters of the truth. Well, here's the truth from the eldest Baird child, Michael Mershon. I am the oldest Baird child, and I don't align with much, if anything, of what my sisters Girl Defined say. But they get enough hate, and don't need it from me as well. I will not talk shit about my sisters, despite disagreeing with them. That being said, much of what they preach is fundamentalist and does damage. But they are just pawns in a larger game. If you made it this far and your head didn't explode at the mention of Girl Defined, then let me tell you why I'm here. I am here to speak my truth about the abuse I suffered at the hands of my parents, but specifically my mother. I was raised in the Gothard ATI world, and I was homeschooled my entire life, and was a victim of ongoing abuse of multiple kinds. I'm a survivor of childhood by a female neighbour when I was around 7 years old. I know my mother knew about it, because she walked in on it happening. It has never been spoken of to this day, and if that were the only time, that would have been bad enough. I was also groomed around about 11 years old by my male neighbour at our house. I was made to feel like a victim and that it was my fault, which led to repressed memories that didn't resurface till I was in my 30s. It had been roughly 5 years since I started dealing with my past essay, and to this day have never received anything close to a sincere apology from my mother. Haidi Baird, to this day, my mother accuses me of living in victimhood mentality and that I need to take to God and let him heal me. My mother is a toxic person, and nothing that you see on any of her posts is authentic or real, as if you need me to tell you that. I cannot change what was done to me or get the years of my childhood I was robbed of back, but I can do my part to prevent her from hurting anyone else. I have attached a screenshot of one of the recent texts I got from my mother blaming me for subjecting myself to a cynical counselling system that will keep me stuck, and also stating that I am making victimhood an idol. Judge for yourself if you believe it is true or not, and use it however you want. But I have nothing to gain except freedom from the oppression I have lived with for so many years. And then here are those messages with Haidi. We aren't going to agree on many things, but we have hope. We can experience a biblical resolution with you both. What we hear from you both is a lot of anger, fear, control, and blame shifting. After years of counselling, why is there still so much bitterness and judgment? It seems that you are trapped in a cynical counselling system that never has an end. Biblical counselling, done God's way, brings healing. It has an end. There is freedom and there is victory in Christ. Biblical counselling walks you to freedom, hope, and peace, not an unending life of cycle of fear, anxiety, and bondage. Victimhood can become an idol that, when threatened, fears losing control and becomes angry at those that seek a resolution. It's the only life a victim knows. That is messed up. That is so messed up, and I feel sorry for anyone that's a part of this family. That's how well-meaning counsellors and therapists keep clients in years of a cyclical system of never-ending sessions with no hope of an end. It does not seek resolutions and forgiveness. Michael and Jamie, God offers an end to all of this. He offers freedom, peace, and hope. We are asking for a resolution because we love you both, and we know it's what God calls us to. We are at peace, we have hope, and we love you both. Let's sit down and have a loving, peaceful, adult conversation that honours God. No fear, no anger, no threats, just God's loving grace and mercy. Man, I'm going to let you guys decide on the verdict of that, but to me, it sounds so manipulative, and that's just a taste of what one of the Baird children has gone through. Now, that's the thing. It's like when watching Girl Defined and watching the sets and watching the lighting, the microphone quality, how put together the brand is, the amount of donations that they make. I don't want to appear like, oh no, two blonde ladies couldn't pull that off. But you have to know that there is a bigger game being played here, and the eldest child admits it. So here we have more context from Mr. Mershon about the text messages and conversation with his mum. For reference, this is the part of the last conversation that I had with my mum and the one that pushed me to the point of speaking out. In this particular conversation, my mother says she has been waiting for 4 years for me to reach out to her about my CSA. She never once in all these years reached out for anything related to healing or abuse, because she was waiting for me, the victim, to reach out to her. That's twisted. That is so twisted. In the second part of the text, she said that we cannot know what the resolution looks like until we meet in person. This woman, who is never short of words, is suddenly speechless and cannot answer a simple question of what resolution looks like in her mind. Apparently, she is incapable of forming an opinion for herself about what this supposed resolution with her son looks like. Wow. Some more context about the family lineage and where Michael Mershon fits into place into all this, and why he doesn't have the same last name as the Baird family. I am Michael Mershon, son of Haidi Baird and brother of Girldefined. To clarify, for those that do not know, my great-grandfather was born with the last name Mershon. When he was 2 years old, his father got kicked in the head by a horse and died. That is crazy. His mum got remarried to a man with the last name of Baird, and that is the name he grew up remembering. I decided to change my last name a little over 10 years ago, so some more context. The son also has a YouTube channel, which I'll bring up now, where I believe he goes into detail about his experiences within the Baird family, and it looks like he's taken to his YouTube channel to actually, speak up against SF and forms of and all this kind of stuff, which is good. He's like creating a platform to transmute this, but I feel so sorry for him, man. And I'm deeply apologetic for everything that's going on in this family. It seems so twisted, in the fact that we're all able to look at it like from an outside perspective, and a lot of people will never get this side of the story. It's very sad. Now, I just want to present Michael's story here as an example of why we can't simply trust a happy face. We have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, and usually if something like Girl-Defined seems so well put together and too good to be true, then it probably is. There are also connections between Girl-Defined and a cult called IBLP in America. There's many photographic evidence of them attending conventions. Like here we have having a great time at the ATI conference in Big Sandy. That looks so dystopian. It looks like an M. Night Shyamalan horror film. You know what I mean? More pictures of them, within this sphere, if you want to call it that. This looks horrifying. I don't know if it's just because it's old, 2012, it just the filter put on it, but it looks scary. It looks so scary. Michael Mershon had an AMA on Reddit where he goes into where he was a part of something called Alert, which he describes as being the paramilitary training arm of the Gothard cult. It is a male-only school where they put you through multiple different phases. There is, or at least was in 2002 when I went, a 9-week boot camp that is designed to break you physically and mentally. It's a literal compound in the middle of nowhere that has its one runway, water treatment plant, dorms, chow hall, etc. I joined the army in 2006, and the boot camp for the army was a joke compared to the shit they put us through at Alert. Wow. So compared to the real military, this cult that he was put into at a very young age was worse than the actual army. That's insane. That's insane. And to think that the Girl-Defined or whatever haven't gone through the same type of conditioning. Yeah. So Michael here, he says, there's 5 girls and 3 boys in the family. I was the oldest, followed by Kristen and then Bethany. They all have pretty active social media accounts, but it all started with Girl-Defined. Random note, but to give you an idea, there is 18 years between me and my youngest sister. My mom was pregnant when I graduated high school. 18 years difference. Wow. So he went through, he kept this secret for a long time. And wow, bless him, man. And here we have him on Reddit speaking out against religious cults and stuff. And this is instantly the vibe I got from Girl-Defined Ministries and Haidi Baird, and it really is insane. So here he says, effing religious cults and their terminology. Call it courting and throw scripture at anyone who questions it. I admire this poor girl for publicly calling out her abuser like that. It takes guts, and I hope he is held accountable. So, what has become of the father, Michael William Baird? Well, Michael William Baird owns a business called The White Glove. Just an interesting name. And the business is a maid service. Welcome to the White Glove Maid Service. The White Glove Maid Service is located in San Antonio, Texas. We provide quality maids at an affordable price. We have been providing maid service in San Antonio since 1982. The White Glove Maid Service has always been locally owned and operated. Our goal is to provide San Antonio the best maid service at a reasonable cost. The White Glove Maid Service offers dependable maid service with guaranteed results. So on top of Girl-Defined Ministries, Haidi Baird's ministries, whatever she does, they are also making money on the White Glove business maid service as well. These guys are insanely rich, okay? Don't give them any more of your money. But I just want to circle back to something. I just want to circle back to Michael's original post. Now, where he explicitly states that Girl-Defined are just pawns in a larger game. Something that I discovered on the website, and I'll take this with a massive grain of salt, but I found this it really irked me in the wrong way. There's something on their website that made me feel very strange upon reading it. And I don't know, guys, let me know what you think. And again, take this with a pinch of salt, please. If we go to the speaking section of their website, we get a nice little bit of Latin. Curabitur blandit tempus poritor, sed possur consector est laboratris, donec sed audio dui, lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, consector adipissing elite. Now, I thought, I thought it was Spanish or something. I thought whoever designed this website must have just accidentally, left a bit of Spanish in there, I was like, that's fine, it happens all the time when people are making websites, yada yada da. Interesting that it's also on the speaking section as well. What does that have anything to do with speaking? But anyway, we continue on. Got it highlighted there if you want to give it a bit of a read. So I thought, let me see what this says. Let me take this over to Google Translate, yeah? So here we have, Curabitur blandit tempus poritor, sed possur consector es laboratis. So, explain this, please. Please explain this. It puts in from Latin, detected, on Google Translate, and here's what it gives us in English. Chatterbox flatters the time of the airline. Strange. But it is a matter of policy. Unfortunately, I hate you. The customer is very important. The customer will be followed by the customer. What? What type of witchcraft incantation is that? Explain it. Now, I actually tried copy and pasting it, into Google to try and find, something to do, I don't know, try and find, if this is, a template, or if I'm just, but why is it in Latin? Anyways, I'll let you guys ponder on that one, amongst everything we've seen. But if you're going to encode Latin into your website, saying some weird stuff, say that you hate me in Latin, because I put donec sed or dio dui just in by itself, and it still comes up with, unfortunately, I hate you. And you put in odio, and it's like, I hate you, hate. So separately, the words, I don't know if it's Google Translate playing up, but for me, that really set the tone where I'm like, okay, there's definitely some cult-like behaviour going on behind the scenes. So, and Kristen Clark and Haidi Baird, I extend my hand out to you. If you guys need help getting out of this, please contact me. Just run away, hide, I don't know, unless you don't want to, and unless you want to just keep scamming your fans, scamming your audience, and playing along with your little family and their dark, dark secrets. So, I think that's been me for this video. I hope you've enjoyed the change of pace. Hope you enjoyed the change of topic. And please let me know if you want to see more of this type of stuff. I'm sorry, took a bit of a long break. You know, Christmas got ahead of me, and all that kind of stuff. But we're back now, and I'm very excited. So thank you for watching. I've been Murray Zani, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.